I'm going to let you in on a little secret about myself. I struggle with the comparison game. For a long time, I'd look at people that I felt were further along in life than me and would allow that to shape how I looked at myself. That's a sword that can cut a few ways. I could look at people and I think, well, I don't have my life together as much as I thought I should. Or I could look at someone and think that I'm so glad that life was way better than how they had it. As I got older and started in ministry, it made me want to be like everyone that I thought was very successful. I would imitate preaching styles, leadership practices, and even model what my ministry looked like based on what I thought was successful because of who I was trying to emulate. One of those pastors is someone I currently listen to and watch online is John Lindell, and he's the lead pastor of James River Church, which is a pretty influential church and a pastor in our fellowship that even our church belongs to. And much of what he's been praying into are some of the same things that we've been praying for here in Abilene, Texas. So I was in my closet, I'm trying on a new jacket that I just purchased, and as I tend to do, I put on a little show for Heather so that she could see the jacket. And I made this comment, "This is my John Lindell look." And she just started laughing and she asked me, "When are you just going to be David Jewett?" I knew what she meant. God did not make me to be John Lindell or any of these other ministers that I admire. He made me to be David Jewett. And all I can do is be the best me. That's what he wants me to do. Maybe you struggle with comparison like I can, or maybe you have thoughts of inadequacy. You could be watching this video right now and be thinking that you're not special or that you're just average or ordinary. Can I let you in on another secret? One that I've had to remind myself of over and over again. You are God's masterpiece. Listen to what the Apostle Paul wrote in the book of Ephesians. God saved you by his grace when you believed. And you can't take credit for this. It's a gift from God. Salvation is not a reward for the good things that we've done, so none of us can boast about it. We are God's masterpiece. He's created us anew in Christ Jesus so we can do the good things he planned for us long ago. Now, when you think about this, the first thought may not be that you're a masterpiece. And you wouldn't be alone in that. When Paul used this statement, he was writing to a church which was in a city that understood what a masterpiece was. You see, Ephesus was home to the great temple to Artemis, which is considered one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Pliny the Elder described the temple as the most wonderful monument of Grecian magnificence. Poiema, the 2nd century Greek traveler, said that this building surpassed all buildings among men. It was not just the temple, but Ephesus was a city which embraced many arts, sculptures, paintings, and architectural wonders. So when Paul says the church, you are God's masterpiece, this is what those hearing this letter read out loud would have pictured. They would have compared themselves to all of these wonderful things. Now this word masterpiece, it's the Greek word poiema, and it means work made by God, and it's where we get the word poem from. In this sense, you could think of yourself as God's poem. And every poem is unique in its form and cadence and rhyme, so God has made you for your own purpose. So let's break it down. You're God's masterpiece. God has created us anew in Christ Jesus. It means that you have been shaped, fashioned, and molded. And when we choose to follow Jesus in every sense, we're also saying to God that we recognize that he fashioned us, molded us, and that he's transforming us into who we were always meant to be. Paul said it this way in another letter, if anyone is in Christ, they're a new creation. The old is gone, and all things have been made new. Whatever you thought of yourself before you came to Jesus, well, now you're new. You're his masterpiece, his poem, so that we can do the good things. Jesus didn't just make you new, but he made you new for a purpose. In other words, Jesus made you his masterpiece so that you could accomplish something, undertake something, work toward his purpose in your life. And the key is really knowing what that purpose is, isn't it? I don't know if I should be ashamed to admit this or not, but when I was a kid, I remember watching The Little Mermaid. I know, but here we are. It is a scene in this particular movie where Ariel is sitting at the dinner table and she sees a fork. Now, in an earlier scene, she's with her talking seagull friend that told her that people would use forks to brush their hair. And you can imagine the horror on everyone's faces when she's sitting at the dinner table and begins to use this fork to comb through her hair. She didn't know the purpose of the thing, so she misused it. And that's why Paul stresses that we were created for a purpose, to do good works. If we don't understand that we were made to do good things and what those good things are, then we will not live the life to the potential that God knows we can. It's why we need to stay close to our Creator so that we know what His purpose for our life is. And if we keep reading in Ephesians chapter 2, we get a clue into what that is. When we see the lengths that Jesus went to redeem us and make us His own and to save us from sin. No matter where you are, who you are God's masterpiece, created to see those around you come to Jesus Christ for the same forgiveness and redemption that you've experienced. And I think this last part of this verse is my favorite, so that we can do the good things He planned for us long ago. Other translations say which He prepared for us in advance. There's an old hymn I think about when I read this. Part of the song says this: when He was on the cross, you were on His mind. I love that. It's so personal. Jesus didn't just die on a cross. He died on a cross for me. He died on the cross for you. And this gets translated that He's made us to do these things. He has works for us to do. And it was planned long before you were born. And this is why Jesus chases you, why He pursues you. Because He has a plan for you and He wants you to know what it is. The Bible gives us this picture that God has written every detail of our lives in a book. And rather than compare ourselves to other people or our insecurities, our failures and inadequacies, we should compare ourselves to the fantastic work of literature, the poem, the poiema, the masterpiece that He made us to be. Because you are His masterpiece.